Hey guys, different t-shirt, new segment. So basically guys, I'm just going to do a little basic description of what this is going to be because I'm starting a new little series on here, a mental health series. So if you want to skip ahead to where, because I'm actually going to talk about a topic in this video. So if you want to skip ahead, in the bio, I'll put what point I start talking about the topic and just stop explaining. So basically just a little quick overview. Everyone's affected by mental health in different ways. Everyone has different mental health problems. Obviously, the problems that affect you the most are the best topics to talk about. Me, I suffer with really bad anxiety. My anxiety is through the roof. It has been for years. My anxiety was bad back before people used to talk about anxiety. Do you remember them times when you were anxious and people say, stop being anxious? What are you anxious for? And now anxiety is actually a recognized mental health. Back in the day, you used to get told to man up and get on with things. And that never helped. Being told when you have anxiety, like, just don't be anxious. How can I not? Do you not think if I could not be anxious, I wouldn't be anxious? That would be a main thing. Like, I don't want to be like this, but I am. So there's nothing I can do. So yeah, I'm going to be talking quite a lot about anxiety. I'm going to be covering a lot of different topics probably you haven't heard from me before. But one of my main ones is going to be anxiety because I can talk about that from a personal point of view. I can talk about techniques, everything. I'll talk about so much about anxiety. I think with mental health, it's one of them topics that recently has kind of come alive. And I'm excited that mental health's come alive. Like, I'm not excited people have mental health issues, but I'm excited that we can finally talk about it. We can finally discuss it. Think about how many conditions and everything went undiagnosed, or people with ADHD, or all sorts of stuff that people had back in the day, that when it was like, back in my day, people were told to get on with things. Like, I know I'm not old. I'm only 25, but back when I was a kid, I remember the ADHD, anxiety, depression, none of these stuff, actually, they were words you use. You were just called, oh, he's a bit anxious, oh, he's depressed today. There was never, like, SAD, seasonal affective disorder. That was never a thing. Back in the day, if you were sad during the winter, you got told to man the fuck up during the winter. There was no that during a certain season you could be affected differently, and people didn't know things. So the more people I wouldn't say people didn't know it necessarily. I'd say that it was not really, it was swept under the carpet. We don't really need to know. Are you anxious at work? Who cares? You're depressed at work? Who cares? Get on with your job. But now that there's so many people and there's so much going on, I think if we didn't address it, it would just explode eventually. So I'm glad that people are starting to do mental health videos, and there's a lot out there now, like self-help and whatnot, for all different issues. So for me, I'd have to say that the reason I want to talk about my anxiety is because my anxiety has come on in leaps and bounds. What we need to remember is that there's different types of anxiety. You have like generalized anxiety. I didn't really know that like OCD and panicking and PTSD and all that comes under forms of anxiety, but you have, as I just said, OCD, panic disorder, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, social phobia or social anxiety as it's known. All different types of anxiety, and you get all different anxiety. People just think anxiety is being scared, anxious all the time. People don't understand that anyone can have anxiety. For example, doing these videos, social anxiety. I could not, if you had told me a year, 2 years ago that I would be putting videos out, like 5-minute videos of myself talking, editing, getting people to listen to me talk, I would have said, I would not have believed it. I'd have laughed it off because I would have thought there's no way that I could have ever got to this point where, like now, for example, whoever's watching this video, you're watching me speak. I don't like talking. Like, my anxiety when it comes socially, people always go, oh, that Jordan, he's really shy, isn't he? He's really quiet. I'm neither. I'm not quiet, nor am I shy. I'm anxious. There is a difference. When it comes to meeting certain people, or when it comes to meeting new people or social interactions, I get anxiety. So it's not that I'm trying to be shy or I'm trying to be rude or because a lot of people get called rude when they have anxiety, because people don't understand that certain situations, especially when it comes to social anxiety, putting someone in a situation where they don't want to talk, they don't know how to talk, and they can't really talk, you're going to come across as rude, shy, or you're going to come across as rude, because you put someone in a situation where they don't want to talk and you're talking to them, they're going to go quiet. They don't want to talk. You think, what a rude person. They just are so anxious that they can't talk. And sometimes, like, when my anxiety gets bad, you'll hear I start stuttering. My voice gets really croaky. And I literally sound like I'm about to burst into tears when my anxiety gets bad. However, there's certain techniques you can use that help with your anxiety, and they're coping mechanisms. And one thing I would say that helped with my anxiety to no end is the job I do. Obviously, as you know, I work in retail, and I'm forced into situations with customers and stuff that I don't want to be in. So it's kind of one of them, it's like face your fear. It's almost like, I'm scared of spiders, hold a spider. And then you realize it's not scary as you think. And it's kind of the same that I have in work. I have situations where customers will shout at me, scream at me, and That is my idea of hell. I don't like being in confrontation. People see me, they think, oh, he's 6'2", he's got wide shoulders, he loves fighting, he loves aggression. I don't. I'm a big teddy bear. I'm the opposite of what I look like. I don't like big confrontation. I don't like aggression. I don't like fighting. I don't like them kind of situations. But when you see me in them, you think, oh, he's a confident guy. Look at him shouting back. Look at him standing his ground. Two things. One, couple years ago, that wouldn't have been me. I would have just accepted it, ignored it, just been the guy getting shouted at, looking down, like I wouldn't have done anything. Because I've done stories, retail rants, where I've told you about my colleagues who have been shouted at, looked down and everything, and I've stood in or stepped in because I know exactly how it is to be that anxious person thinking, please God, just stop shouting at me, please leave, please leave. And there's nothing you could do, because when someone's angry, they're just going to keep going until you say no and actually shout back at them. They're not going to know that you have a serious voice. So through being in retail and being forced into these situations, it has helped with my anxiety. It doesn't help all the time. I'm not saying that it's a cure. Just go join retail and you'll never be anxious again. I still get anxious when I'm talking to people. I have to do stuff, but you have to learn coping mechanisms. And the best thing I will say is learn coping mechanisms that work for you. Because you'll have so many people that say, oh, I do this and it works. You should do it. What, does it not work for you? And if it doesn't work for you. I've tried coping mechanisms before, anxiety mechanisms, that you read them or you read in a book or you go on a website and it says, this will work 100% every time. And you do it and you think it's not working. And that's because certain techniques will not work on you. Certain techniques work for the mass. Some work for the niche. You need to find the techniques that work for you. In some of my next videos, I will be doing anxiety techniques and stuff to calm yourself down and stuff that I have found that I work. But yet again, it's stuff that I have found works for me. I have tweaked and twisted, and I'll get into more depth about that, the people's techniques that they've had, and I've taken it and think it doesn't work, but let me try this. And I've taken their technique and sprinkled a bit of Jadd on top, and it's worked for me. And you could do the same. Just say your name's Mary. You take my technique, Jadd's technique, and sprinkle a bit of Mary on there. Always put your own essence in whatever you're doing, because that's what makes you. You are you. I can't be you. You can't be me. It will never happen because we're different people. Everyone's anxiety is different. Never belittle someone's mental health. Never say, oh, you don't have this, you don't have that, because you don't know what's going through people's mind. I never judge a book by its cover. Never tell someone they don't have something. Never belittle someone. Never think you know someone, because you never know someone. You'll always sit there and loads of people have, like, you'll think, oh, that person's a dick, and eventually become friends with them because you realize they weren't a dick. It was your perception. So when it comes to anxiety, just be kind to people. When it comes to mental health in general, just be kind to people. But when it comes to anxiety, it's a really bad thing to mock, or a really bad thing to, especially if you mock him, but if you make someone do something that you know, mate. I've got stories for days, people, you know this. I say the same thing every time. And the reason you know I've got stories for days, because the moment I say I've got stories for days, I bring another video out the next day. So what I'm saying is, stay safe, people. Focus on your mental health to build yourself up, because if your brain's not up, that if your brain's all fuzzy and everything, you're never going to be where you want to be. Take Mike Thalassisas. He had everything that a guy could, as a guy. He had the body, the looks, the game, the chat, the money, the house, the women. Everything he had is what a guy would want to have. But sadly, he committed suicide. And the reason he did was because of mental health. And it's something that takes things like that. It takes things like Mike Thalassisas, Caroline Flack, like people like that to commit suicide for us, well, not us, but for people to really take it seriously. And that's what's sad. We have to wait until we get to that far in the journey for people to have to kill themselves, for us to actually understand, okay, we actually need to start supporting people. Like, no matter what people look like, no matter what, like, look at them two. They were millionaires, both of them. Everyone wants to be a millionaire. That's everyone's goal. Everyone these days trying to be a millionaire. And to the public eye, they had everything we wanted. They had the looks, they had the fame, they had the talk, the game, the everything, both of them. But mentally, they weren't there, and no one checked in them. Everyone thought, oh, they have everything. They don't need to be checked in on. Just let them go. Like, they've got the money there. What more could you want? And then when they killed themselves, everyone was like, why would they do that? They had everything in their life. But even if you have all these physical material objects, if you're not mentally okay, and I don't mean you having a mental problem, I mean, if your mental health suffers severely, you don't know at what point someone's going to choose to take their life or choose to do something that will change their life. Like, there's many options. People try overdose. There's so many horrible options that people try to do because they feel like they can't talk to someone. They don't have anyone. So I think I'm going to end this on if you need me, talk to me. If this is mental health, quick chit chat, anything you need, if you need to talk, pop into my DMs, because I'd hate for someone to take their own life, or for someone to think that they're alone when there are so many people that could support them, me being one of them, and other people in the mental health or fitness community in general. So please, 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 message me, message someone, message anyone. I know they have the Samaritans and the numbers and everything you can call. But if you don't feel like you have the confidence to call into one of them, I'm just a normal everyday guy. Just message me, message someone else who has mental health topics or is willing to talk about these kind of topics. So yeah, stay safe, guys, and yeah, protect everyone, protect the NHS, and protect everyone's mental health, and protect yourself most importantly. But yeah, love, guys.